Hello, Grandmaster Ware with Mount Tabor Grand Lodge video channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited to say to you that as all good and sharp businesses do, we are undergoing a transformation ourselves. Mount Tabor is considered or is the mountain of transformation. You can read that in the Bible, look it up, Google it, and it'll tell you all about what Mount Tabor stands for. So, this video is geared towards elevating our intellectual, moral levels and also giving us a platform to work from that will serve us well. The title of this video is The Importance of Critical Thinking. You see, 2023 has been a year of getting some of our normalcy back. However, if we want more in 2024, we're going to have to open our eyes and implement critical thinking before we act. In other words, we have to strategize before we implement any actions. There was an article written by a noted lecturer named Noam Chomsky. I'm trying to pronounce it right, and I'm going to give you some excerpts from his lecture. But at first, I want to let you know that critical thinking is the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. And let me say what an objective analysis is. That's dealing with facts or conditions as perceived without distortion by personal feelings, prejudices, or interpretations. So go back to critical thinking. It's done in order to form a judgment. We have to judge. We have to make judgment calls. So all this the world says, do not judge anybody because you don't want to be judged. Hey, if your actions are upright and moral, you should not mind being judged. And so that's the stand that I take. That's the stand we're taking. Now, as far as the world is concerned, they use a couple of strategies to hold us back, hold us down. It's either misinformation, erroneous information, or half information. But the first strategy they use is that of distraction. And this is the primary element of social control so that it keeps the public distracted from important issues through the technique of flood and a deluge of continuous distractions and trivial information. So the public's attention is distracted from the real social issues and held captive by issues that don't really matter. So you cannot allow yourself to be distracted by itty bitty things. You see, what the world chooses to do is to keep us busy, busy, busy with no time to think. We have to think. You got to use it or you're going to lose it. Their idea is to keep us focused and thinking about the molehill, the itty bitty things, and not the mountain. So a mind focused on ideas will always trump a mind focused on money. So let me caution you as far as the strategy of distraction is concerned, become, as I've heard, obsessively focused on what it is you want to do and what you're going after, and do not be determined or deterred. You see, when you possess critical thinking skills, you remain focused on what is to be. Therefore, you put everything in its proper place and deal with it at the proper time. That's the way you're going to get ahead. You're going to move forward. The second strategy the world uses is that of mediocrity. So what the world wishes to do is to keep the audience in ignorance and mediocrity. In other words, get people to accept an unacceptable measure. And all it takes is to apply pressure gradually, drop by drop, over several years. So while making the public unable to understand the technologies and the methods being used to control them. So again, let's not settle for mediocrity. Let's not compare ourselves to the average person. Well, I'm doing better than John. I'm not doing as bad as Fred. Hey, you have an objective, a goal, a gift, and a talent, and a purpose, God given purpose. Mediocrity is not among them. When you employ critical thinking, you will never allow mediocrity to exist in your life. Critical thinking is a major component for forward movement. It demands how to do something. How do we get this done? How do we accomplish what we're after? So critical thinking moves you forward with a how to attitude. And there is no negative in that scenario. Now, the third strategy the world uses is public emotions. They say. I hate it when somebody say they say. Who is, who are they? Okay? Normally it's that person, but chooses to lay blame to somebody else because they're not man enough or woman enough to say what's on their mind. So the world uses the emotional aspect much more than the reflection. Exploitation of the emotions is a classic technique that cripples critical thinking to draw a desired conclusion. So, using the emotional register, you can open the access doors to a person's subconscious, unconscious, and unconsciously implant or inject ideas, desires, fears, and constraints to induce a desired behavior. Do not play victim to the use of emotions. Critical thinking leaves no room for emotions. Remember, go back to the original objective. It is dealing with facts or conditions as perceived without distortion by personal feelings, prejudices, and or interpretations. So every facet and detail is looked at strategically with the logic and reason. The only and only then is emotions permitted to enter the equation as a support mechanism, not a driving mechanism. So your emotions never lead your actions. Your emotions support and drive your actions from the back. It's kind of like a car. You have front wheel drive, rear wheel drive. I personally prefer rear wheel drive cars, and that's where my emotions are. They come up in the back to push me forward. So the fourth thing that the world does is they strive to know man better than they know that man knows himself. See, over the past 50 years, rapid advances in science have led to a widening gap between the public knowledge and what the ruling elite owns and uses. So, thanks to applied biology, neurology, and psychology, the system has an advanced knowledge of people, both in their physical and mental forms. The system has managed to know the normal man better than he knows himself. This means that in most cases, the system exercises more control and power over the individual than the individual over themselves. Perhaps you've been in a business situation where the management, you know they want to do something to you, get rid of you, or whatever the case may be, and they pick at you, stick you, trying to press the button because they know how you're going to react. As I said in the affirmations, abundant life, love, and happiness, one of them says, I do not react, I act. In other words, you've got to maintain control. So while The proper critical thinking skills, or with the critical thinking skills, you will know you, your strengths and your weaknesses, and be better able to recognize people for who they are, which leads to fewer disappointments and setbacks. So I hope you're taking this information to heart, because as soon as this video is over, or tomorrow, next week, is going to come to your mind when you encounter somebody attempting to control you. So, in summation, almost, why is critical thinking so important? Critical thinking is more than just important. It is one of the most crucial cognitive skills one can develop. It is one of the most crucial cognitive skills that you can develop. You see, critical thinking should be applied to every facet of your life. Look at what you do, who you do it with, and how you or they do a thing. All of that should be scrutinized. And by practicing well thought out thinking, both your thoughts, your decisions can make a positive change in your life, or your professional life, or your personal life. So you can hugely improve your life by working on your critical thinking skills as often as you can. Just one scripture, 2 Timothy 2:7. Think over what I say, for the Lord will give you understanding in everything. So before you speak, think. And if it appears that you are not going to think first, think of this. Hold on a minute. Let me get right back to you. So you can have some time to think. Think over what I say in 2 Timothy 2:7. For the Lord will give you understanding in everything. So observe this. It is God who gives understanding. The most intelligent man needs more and more of this gift, because we all find ourselves backed in a corner sometimes. If he who gave the revelation in the word does not give the understanding in the heart, then we are nothing. So God has given you a word, and he will give you understanding in your heart, but you got to be ready to receive it. So as we read all of this, it teaches us a great truth, that we are not sufficient in and of ourselves to think or to speak of anything ourselves. So we can't necessarily come up with what is wise and good ourselves, but that all our sufficiency is of God, who is with the heart and with the mouth, and the works in both us to do will, in us both to do will and to do. Your will is your spirit, your decision-making area of your life, and to do is your action. The only way to have our thoughts established is to commit our works to the Lord. And that's mentioned in Proverbs 16:3. Now, I said earlier at the beginning, Mount Tabor is undergoing a transformation. We're elevating ourselves. We're going deeper into this Masonic lectures and so forth. So get on board. Email me, messenger me, give me your name, your email address, because we have exclusive content coming up for Masons. Exclusive content. You want to be a part of our exclusive content family, because that's where we're going to go and look for what we call deep truth. I thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, tell a friend, go to Amazon.com, look at our books, and support Mount Tabor Grand Lodge video channel. I thank you much.